There we go. Time, space, dimensions. There are many different ways one can travel. There are many different ways one can interface with the universe. How one interfaces with those particular means is unique in their own ways, also carrying with its own consequences as well. However, there may become a point in time or space, or in other technicalities, where one may cross paths with another, where chance can become destiny, fate, or even something greater than that. Here, on this episode of In Character Universe, I'll be meeting with a particular dragon, one who has specialized with various means of time travel and also different forms of illustrious arts. So, without further ado, I'll be heading to the room and we will be starting a conversation with Iris Mondragon. And if anybody is interested in following them, please follow them using the exclamation point guess command, and I'll pull up their information. All right, and we shall begin. Hello, Iris. How you doing?
Hi, hello. I'm doing fine. Hello, everyone. It is Iris Mondragon, or it is Mondragon, depending on which language do you speak. And it's a pleasure to be here.
Hopefully the travel wasn't too bumpy.
It usually is, but you get used to it the more you travel around these parts.
Oh, I just noticed that I'm hitting a bit of time like myself. I'm just a bit disassociating since we're in a different kind of sealed space, so just give me a moment. I'll be right to that eventually. I just didn't happen to notice.
That is how it be sometimes.
Yep, but I guess the least favorable things is definitely disassociating in either time or space. That could probably be the scariest thing of all.
Yeah, that is actually one of like the bigger issues that comes with time traveling nowadays.
Hmm.
Uh, it's almost like time is becoming self-aware of some sort, and it's trying to keep things in check, so to speak. I'm not quite sure myself.
I guess so, considering that we've already seen wardens and other travelers and so many other entities have come around, but I guess it's a bigger thing compared to a small pond that is our universe.
Yeah, like the more I've been looking at how things have been becoming like public, all these entities, all these gods, and just time travelers, it's wild. Like normally you think you're the only one around there, or you and your colleagues, and then suddenly it's like time travel is a lot more common. So it
Hmm.
suddenly stops being a big deal.
I guess so, considering that somehow it hasn't really led to any irreversible damage. I guess some way, somehow, time just constantly heals itself after so many mishaps.
Yeah, I also have like the theory that that's why all the possible kinds of time travel and time mishaps can be simultaneously possible.
Hmm.
Otherwise, time itself would collapse on its own.
That's true. So I guess in context, we could probably go talk about the time that you were a member of the time travel agency.
Oh yeah, uh, that was a long while ago. It has it has been like at least 50 years since I stopped being part of the agency. For sort of context as to why I used to work in a time travel agency, me and my family have been like involved with time travel for as long as I can remember. Like everybody in my family is a time traveler, or at least they dabble with time itself one way or another. So it kind of feels like the kind of thing where everybody in your family is doing it. So why not do it as well yourself?
Mhm.
Uh, Technically, there's nothing that is classified that I worked on. So at least in that sense, like I can at least talk about some of my assignments and a lot of the stuff I sort of learned when I was working with the agency.
Okay. So I guess my first question is, how did you initially get the job with the time travel agency?
Uh, it was around like when I was like 100 years old. Like even if I'm half human and half dragon, like I'm still quite longevous. I had been like time traveling with my family like, in a more casual sense, like to get the hang of it before they would like let me travel on my own. And my family thought like a good word about me. Like I was a natural. From what I know is that a lot of people who time travel or try to time travel, they suffer some kind of deterioration of sorts, or they start to lose their minds over how they time travel or all the concepts they learn. But I don't think I've ever been affected by it. So it was like, apparently, it was like a really good thing for me to be recommended. And I was given assignments almost immediately.
Hmm. So what would you say your particular role in the agency was?
Uh, to be honest, at first it sounds kind of interesting, but my role was, so to speak, kind of like just minimal jobs like check up things on timelines or go back to the past or into the future to keep track of certain individuals or certain events. Uh, the most cool assignment I've ever had was keeping track of Santa Claus, which is that is quite a mysterious entity, even for us.
I'm sorry. Did you say Santa Claus?
Yeah, the current theory we have is that maybe there is no Santa Claus, so to speak. It's more like multiple people doing the thing
Hmm.
because even if that person used or multiple people use time manipulation, it couldn't be one individual. Like, not one person could do those things in one night. It would be next to impossible.
Hmm. Yeah. Now that I think about it, there has been some like dossiers about Santa Claus being more than one person or has some sort of dimensional manipulation, so that allows him to be in all places at once. Granted, that would have probably fired some red flags, but because of the way that he is, I guess he has some sort of immunity.
Yeah, like, unless we're talking about something that it's somehow exempt of everything in the universe, like, there would be something that would trip off somebody or someone. The fact that this entity is just doing this thing around is something that even baffles us. I think I was the last person assigned to that. I don't know if my replacement is doing well with the case. At one point, I was like, "Yeah, I don't think we're gonna crack this one ever."
Uh, I don't think there's any logical, rational, or even corporeal explanation that could actually hold cancer to Santa Claus' existence.
Yeah, or the good thing is that at least we're certain that whatever this person or people are doing, like, it's not gonna cause anything big on the balance of time and space. So at least in that regard, we can be assured that there is no need to like apprehend or stop this person.
Huh.
Also, they are giving just gifts to everyone. Like, oh, that's how bad can it be?
Yeah. If anything, I might be worried about the people that got coal for the day. Then I might be worried about those that actually would go above and beyond and chase him down. I would probably know someone around that caliber, but I guess I'm lucky or unlucky to probably find that particular person in question. Probably pick their brain a little bit to see why they would just go above and beyond to try and chase down Santa Claus of all people for a lump of coal.
Yeah, right now, like, if anybody who has those capabilities in chat is listening, uh, do not interact with Santa Claus right now. It's for the best of everyone. Like, don't mess with Santa Claus. Maybe you might think that you can do something about it or find something. It's not a good idea. Just don't meddle with it.
Yeah,
It's for the best of everyone.
yep. And if you do ever try to do anything with Santa Claus, whoever's listening, you're going to be incurring the wrath of every single man, woman, and child on any planet, on any kind of dimension, on anywhere. You are going to feel the wrath of those who have felt joy on that Christmas day. Yeah. To think I was the one that didn't actually believe in Santa Claus, and one day just happened to just wash all over me like it's a nice little cascade of snow.
Yeah, I remember that. At least me being, I haven't hanging out like in the human society. Like, the place where my family settled is Mexico, so I I used to hang out with human kids a lot, and well, thanks to time travel and stuff, they don't notice that I'm growing older because To be fair, according to how they see me, I'm growing at a normal rate, but mostly because I am missing for years because of time travel or doing stuff in other timelines. And to them, like a week has passed, but for me, it's like 3 months or something.
Hmm. And would you chalk that up to your dragon half, or is it to like the side effects of constantly time traveling? What is it?
From what I know, it's actually my dragon part. Uh, from what I know, like at least from my family, like the genetics in my family, is that while hybrids such as me are like born from a human and a dragon, like most of her body it's dragon like. Surprisingly, everybody in my family, well, unsurprisingly, more like everybody has tails and horns except me. I don't have horns. I don't know why. It's just a thing that happened.
Hmm.
They they do bully me about that though. But I, from what I know, it's like the longevity of dragonkind, so to speak.
So without the horns, were you kind of like picked out, or yeah, so it's lesser than, or did you kind of find a way to make yourself more pronounced because of that?
Well, I kind of have like, from what I've known, from what I've heard about me from my family, like there's a lot of oddities about me. Like it's not only the horns. Like I also can like us dragons can consume all kinds of things, but I particularly have like a fondness to multiple things that even dragons are like not exactly thrilled about. And
Hmm.
particular sand, I do like eating sand a lot, so that's another oddity. I think that even without my horns, I have always stuck out one way or another.
Hmm. But eating sand?
Yeah, I actually like the texture a lot. From what I've heard, humans cannot actually like process it. It kind of can kill you or something like that.
It's all rocks and stuff, so you can't exactly digest it. But I guess if it comes to dragons, they should be able to turn into something else, like because of the physiology. Maybe turn it into like some sort of glass, something. Just trying to like piece that together.
The way I can better describe it, it's like uh, so a lot of dragons like consume gems and precious metals, right?
Hmm.
I picture sand like when you eat cereal and you pour the bowl and there's like the cereal dust that it's left over in the back.
Hmm.
I picture sand kind of like that. Like
Oh,
you say, well, it's cereal dust and I shouldn't eat it, but it's so good that you eat it when nobody's noticing.
yeah, it's also like the sweetest part of the cereal box too.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like dragons don't need it because it's bad for their health. Like it won't kill them, but it's like not something that you should do, and that's why I am the outlier. Like I just don't give a damn or something. I
Hmm.
don't know.
Yeah, so it's like people sneaking off angel food cake because it's so sweet. It's a devilish in nature when it comes to how sweet it is, but it's so satisfying to indulge in it, and so on.
Yeah, it's indulgence of that. Yeah, going back a bit to the real question. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that the it's mostly my dragon side of my family. We're longevous, so maybe it doesn't affect me as much. But even like if that was the case, at least I know that I'm some sort of special case in that regard. Like even people in my family, like even my father has some adverse effects of time travel, but I seem to be, if not immune, at least they don't hit me as hard as everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. All right. Now going back on topic of the time travel agency, how would you describe your? How would have you described your day to day?
Well, usually it would be like if I wasn't on an assignment, I would clock in, uh, check out some. It was pretty much an office job to a certain degree, like making sure that our old files were correct, they were up to date, that what we remember wasn't like somehow changed to what was written, uh, and just hanging out with people, making sure that time itself, at least in our timeline, was like everything was on track. When it came to assignments, mostly it was like it's like a business trip of some sort, where instead of going to another city, you are going to another time period. Sometimes it's exciting stuff like going to see, like going to witness history itself and make sure that everything is exactly as we remember it, or we we just write down like additional details.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's something as simple as, oh, make sure that dinosaurs were alive before the meteorite hit the earth. And it's like, ah, yes, that sounds very exciting. And you just going, yep, they were alive. I
Mm-hmm.
can't believe they died. Skill issue.
Yep. Or should they have to go no matter what time period? And
Uh,
was the job mostly exciting, boring, or were there a bunch of eccentrics that you kind of ran into, or any other strange cases involving other time travelers?
Mostly one thing that it's like, in a sense, the job was kind of boring. Like there are like sprinkles of excitement from time to time, but it really wasn't like anything amazing. There was another branch that I sometimes work with inside the agency that was mostly keeping track of time travelers who were outside of the norm. Like be- because the agency is not the only organization of sorts that it's also delving with time travel and stuff. And sometimes it's just individuals who have have somehow stumbled upon natural ways to time travel, or somehow have discovered a way to time travel. And that has led us to have to like keep them in check, remove their ways to time travel, or just sometimes, even if it's a little bit distasteful, like just remove them from the equation.
Hmm.
Mostly because it's people who think that, well, if I do this thing, everything will be better, but there's a lot of variables involved. So it's like, how about we don't risk it? Maybe we shouldn't risk it. And it sometimes ends up badly, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. It's mostly like people that want to like change this particular event so such and such person is still alive, or this instance has never happened. Those can lead to very interesting consequences from what I've kind of familiarized myself with. But at the same time, time has some strange way of rebounding in such an aggressive fashion that no matter what they do, it's just nullified.
There is also a particular phenomena that we have been. I don't know if it's recent or we just started noticing. Uh, like people think that, the memes, like a time traveler moves a chair and suddenly the entire timeline is thrown upside down.
Mm-hmm.
But something we have found out is that technically time itself, or like reality itself, finds a way to make sure like those minimal things don't affect the world.
Right.
Let's suppose there are two people that are gonna meet up at a bar. and a time traveler accidentally moves one chair where those two people would meet by chance. Somehow, somebody, a worker, has the sudden impulse to put the chair back where it was to ensure that the meeting will still happen.
Hmm.
And like, there is no sort of logical explanation. Like, there is not like some sort of mystical voice or anything that says it. It's also like maybe why we have been looking at certain intrusive thoughts where if somebody does something that seems like such an innocuous thing that wouldn't cause such a big deal, but they do it and they actually have like no actual explanation as to why they did it. They just say, I just feel like it.
Hmm. Or
We're
something.
looking into that, but well, this we were looking into that when I was still working at the agency. But it's such a strange thing. We still haven't like 100% figured out where it is.
Hmm. Maybe it's just law of causality actually working its purpose. Some people just do things for no particular reason or no explanation, and just somehow makes things somehow just fixes things that don't need to be fixed or have no intention of being fixed anyway. Maybe it's just that. Maybe that's just space doing its thing too.
Yeah, it's the way time works is also like it's just a strange thing. Like technically, if things worked out in the way people thought, like time is linear or it's a web or whatever, it wouldn't be sustainable. Like there is like time loops. There's also like predetermined time travel where that person was supposed to time travel and what the person did was already going to happen anyway. They were just going to do the thing that time itself predicted that they would do if they didn't travel. But there's also people who can change time. And all those things are like things we have recorded, things we have noticed that happen. If there was like a set of rules that kind of led to, okay, this is how time works, they are like mutually exclusive if the rules work that way. So technically, there's like, it's hard to figure out like if there's something we're not seeing or if just time itself is kind of doing the thing where they just work out the kinks and decide, well, this is how it's gonna work this time and maybe this other time. But we still don't know.
Hmm. Interesting. So, what was the point that you felt like the time travel agency wasn't the job for you anymore?
It actually was about 100, 100 years ago. Right now I'm 500. So I started working when I was 100. I worked for 300 years. And 100 years ago, I decided it all started because while I was discussing this kind of like how time is working out, because there's like no big unifying theory we have about how time works or sort of like a rule book to play by. Uh, there was no such thing. I tried to publish like this big theory on how time itself works, and people weren't exactly big on the idea of me saying, well, technically we're all dumb and time is not playing by any rules. Like it's just making rules as it goes by, or it ignores the rules. So technically, no matter what we do, we will never understand time travel. And maybe it's because it wasn't going to work out if the agency was trying to keep time and space itself under control. Like maybe that is why. But it led to a lot of friction with people in the job, in the office, and even in my family. So in the end, I was like, all right, I'm done with this. I don't really have to deal with this, and just decided to do whatever else and left the agency.
Hmm. So, in a sense, did you leave the place on good terms, or maybe was it a bit of bad blood, or not really much of anything going on? How'd you leave?
Uh, Pretty much after the friction started with all parties, I pretty much like told my superiors like, okay, hey, this is not gonna work out. So how about we all agree to disagree, and like I will stop I will stop this, but just don't bother me. I won't bother you anymore. Just leave me be. And the consensus was that yeah, that's like they were like, all right, fine, just don't mess with us. And to be fair, it's not like I'm interested in burn devil. So I pretty much said, well, we're both gonna let each other live and just be. So I'm fine with that.
Mhm.
So I didn't live in on good terms, so to speak, but at least I'm not like in a wanted list of like some sort of time criminal.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so now we can move on to the next set, and this will be mostly in reference to your time traveling and other magical abilities that you mentioned in the information as well. So, one thing that definitely comes to mind is the time core. How would you describe it? What does it look like?
Well, the time core is originally it was kind of like a circular magical stone sort. It has a lot of rooms. However, as it was passed down generation by generation, it has been kind of morphed. Like there is like no, so to speak, like somebody who's like the rightful owner of the original time stone, uh, the time core, but it keeps on changing forms. And the current one, it kind of looks like the best way I can describe it is, have you seen the Fallout arm thingy? I haven't played Fallout, but people who have seen my time core mention that thing a lot.
Oh, like the Pip Boy?
Yeah, like it looks kind of like an arm that is a computer.
Hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting
Uh,
form to take.
yeah, somebody in my ancestor actually had it like some sort of like sight of sorts, which was like, but how did the time travel? Like I put in coordinates in ancient draconian language. Like what would they do? Would they slash the air with the sight with the place they want to go in mind, or it's it's a little bit interesting to me
Hmm.
how the thing works.
So, if I can kind of pinpoint where this is going, the time core basically changes its shape depending on who uses it and what their purpose is. Like you mentioned, someone probably had it as a form of a scythe, so you probably jump from one place to the next, but also defend themselves or even lead an attack. Or the most recent form that you mentioned, the Pip Boy, seems more utility based and just try to get themselves into like very interesting situations where they can kind of bend time to their whim to an
Yeah,
extent.
it is a mysterious object. Even though it's a heirloom, has been in my family for ages. Not even in my family, not even people from the old times know. I've met some of the older owners of the Time Core, and the Time Core technically it's not a blood thing. It chooses who the owner is. It's always somebody in my family,
Hmm.
but it even jumps like the nephews and stuff like that. So it's not something that we honestly fully understand very much.
Hmm. So I'm guessing. Hmm. So you're the current possessor of the time core, correct?
Yeah, I would like to say that even though I'm the current owner, I'm not sure if I'm giving it the correct. Right now, I'm using it as a processor to my computer. Like it's literally hooked up in a very like do-it-yourself way to my computer to work as its CPU.
And it's not gonna go unstable anytime soon.
Uh, I would like to say no, but I came back from like my hiatus to stream, and I have been streaming for 1 month at least twice a week, and apparently I was streaming to a completely different time, and people were like who is and people were like, why are you acting like this? And I was like, there's a lot of new people here. Why are they acting like this though? And suddenly another me came to my room and said, "Okay, bitch, why do you want to be like, why do you want to take over my stream?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Who are you?" And then we figured out that we were each other, and it was very wild.
So you managed to meet yourself from a different time frame.
Yeah, it's not something common, so that's what piqued my interest at one time. But she was really aggressive, so I didn't want to get on her bad side.
Mhm.
Like I was like, okay, this is don't you find this interesting? But she was upset at me that I was like, okay, I guess we're not having a nice conversation. Never mind.
Yeah.
She was terrifying.
You never usually know how angry you can get until you see yourself, and that's kind of taking it a bit literally at this point.
Yeah, I had heard that people say you are your own biggest enemy. I I I didn't know it was meant to be that.
Hmm. I don't know if I ever met my alter ego. That would have been quite the fisticuffs moment there. Maybe worse. Maybe it might have been something different. Who knows? Some people always think about what will happen if they saw themselves. Maybe have a clone or maybe a different time period of themselves. What would they do? No, the answer can kind of vary depending on who you ask.
Yeah, I I think that even if I had been asked that years ago before I met her, I don't think my answer would have been like, well, my own self would try to kick my ass, so I would be very scared and be unable to do it.
But at the end of the day, you gotta learn to fight with yourself too. It's gonna be a long battle, yeah, but sooner or later, they'll all come to head one way or another.
Yeah, time has its mystery still, so it's very interesting.
Now, when it comes to prolonged use of the time cord, does it come with any kind of side effects?
From what I know, to me, it's mostly there's like the time dissociation, like my body starts to run at a different time. Once I try to come back into my original, or when I stay prolonged times on another timeline or another time. So it's more like a dissociation of time. Like my body's not working in the correct time frame. That makes sense. Another side effect is that well, my notion of time gets really wonky. Like I mentioned before, I was sorting out some personal stuff, and I was supposed to go away for 3 months, and when I came back, suddenly, apparently, like I was gone for 3 years. Like everybody thought it was 3 months, but according to my time core and everything that I checked, I spent 3 years away.
3 years?
Yeah, and honestly, it's slightly concerning, but at the same time, it doesn't seem to have any side effects on my physical body or appearance, so I'm not too concerned right now. I'll just keep I'll just keep that in mind in case something goes really wrong in the future.
Hmm. And I guess also with that, do you think that there's always something changing without you realizing it because of the time core being active?
Yeah, like so to speak, one of the things that the time core does is that it keeps track of your own personal age, like one way or another. The site owner said that he would see it like in his eyes. He didn't go into details a lot. He was a bit weird.
Hmm.
But the way he described this, I can see how I am. And he seemed to be a little bit off, so it was hard to get answers out of him how the time for worked or why it was different.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so there's another part of the piece of information that I came across too. You've mentioned things about math magic.
Oh yeah, mathematics is the best way to describe it is it's just another branch of magics itself. Like ancient creatures before we actually came 100% in contact with humanity, we would do like magics for everything. And the best way to describe it is that sometime we started to meet with, and we would do magic, and we would use like incredible amounts of magic to perform our tasks. And suddenly they realize like you're putting a lot of effort in this. Have you tried like taking into consideration these things? And practically what it is just applying math and sciences to magic in order to make the process a lot less taxing. There's like some ancient creatures who think that that is an insult to magic itself.
Hmm.
But it's like we're putting a lot less effort into this. It's a lot less taxing for a lot of creatures, so it's actually good for everyone. But it's tradition and stuff like that.
Hmm. So, how would you say it's different in comparison to like other forms of magic?
I would say it's more like it's practically the same. It's just that let's say a teleportation spell. Normally, a teleportation spell would consider like the coordinates, where you're going, all the things. But then, like going into mathematics is like, okay, what things of what you're going to do are actually like particularly relevant to the spell? Like, it's the place you're going, a moving place? No? Well, then you don't have to consider this. How is the weather? Like this? Okay, then you don't have to consider this other component of the spell, and so on and so forth. Like it's just applying like an equation to a spell and making it a lot less taxing for how you're casting.
Hmm. So would you say it's much more involved in terms like regarding incantations? You'll have to like constantly write things down, or is it all in your head? They can just process the information and just go from there.
For me and my family, uh, we are like really one of the bigger factions who are into mathematics. Actually, my father is considered to be the mathematician overlord, as far as I know. That is a title that at first sounds silly, but then he has the "the" in the title, so it's like, oh shit, that's like a big name, you know.
It's a big
It's
deal.
he is the, so there's something about that. So particular to me, I try to perform magic on its own, and since I'm also very good at math, to me it feels like I could really do this a lot less taxing for me. Like if the place I'm going to has like a non-compatible magic form, to me it's, yeah, I could be screwed. Like reducing how much I can cast stuff, it's a really bad idea.
Hmm. So would you say that this magic system relies on a special kind of mana, or what? What kind of feeds into it?
It's more like every kind of like creature and being has its own way to feed into to feed mana into themselves. So let's suppose like I in particular I'm a time dragon. So I'm a time dragon. So I can cast other kinds of magic through additional effort, but my mana sort of like just shapes itself around time.
Hmm.
So if I go to a place that it's really charged with like let's say flame mana, it wouldn't be as compatible. Like my body would try to absorb it, but at the same time it wouldn't be as, maybe I could cast like fire or something like that. Like perform mathemagics that could let me create a fire breathing weapon, but it makes it like other stuff that I would like to like make time go slower or something like that. So it's it's better to not rely on like have your own pool accessible to yourself with the most amount at all times. It's just a survival instinct to me.
Hmm. So
Also from what I know, like it's also why like a lot of dragons have a lot of different abilities. From what I know, there's like dragons have no biological ways to generate fire. We just cast fire from the mouth because they used to cast lightning to humans to keep them away, but they thought it was just lightning from the sky. So if you just cast fire from your mouth, they believe you have fire breath, and they just go away.
hmm. That sounds pretty interesting. It's usually like a rarity for dragons to be able to cast magic in the first place, but it seems like this is one of the few cases where it's a very common thing.
At least from what I know of dragons, I know other species have other ways to like interact with magic. So maybe it's, yeah, exactly. It's like people think it's must have been the wind or something like that, but things like that kind of work out in the way that like how phoenixes are very entwined with mystical fire and stuff like that. It's just the way they interact with magic itself. So maybe it's just a species kind of thing.
Hmm. So, how'd you get to learn this particular art? Was it mostly passed down to you, or was it an innate ability that you were awakened to?
It's a mixture of both. Like it's sort of it's ingrained into you. Like you are born with it. At least to my species of dragons, they are kind of like just aware such thing can be performed. But actually, like mastering it, it's a completely different thing. You either do it trial by error, or you have somebody teach it to you. And since time magic is like really easy to mess up and it can do wonky stuff to you, it's better to be taught by somebody. That's why at least dragons in my family like tend to stick together.
Hmm. So, with all the capabilities of managing space and time via this form of magic, what kind of regulations and rules have been put in place, if any?
Mostly it's kind of like self-imposed rules, so to speak. Like being time dragons like makes us a little bit more like people don't tend to give us rules because we are more well aware how time flows, how the time flow works. And technically, most of our self-imposed regulations is like try to not mess with the affairs of the world or how things keep happening around humans and other species. It's mostly like a non uh I forget the word.
Like a non aggression
We
pact?
kind of like an non-aggression pact. Like we don't mess in your affairs, but you also don't mess into our own. Like if I'm having a vacation in the Jurassic period or whatever, just let me be. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just hanging out with some cool dinosaurs or something. I don't know. I'm not gonna mess up anything. Just let me be.
Hmm. So, I guess it's a bit weird having to vacation in the Jurassic period where anything could probably eat you in a moment's notice.
Yeah, I try to not go there a lot of the times. It's mostly when I just want to be with my thoughts. The last 3 year vacation that I took like recently, I went to a lot of places actually, and a lot of interesting things happened.
Hmm. So, would you say that your dragon side amplifies your magical capabilities, or are you pretty well rounded?
In particular, at least when it comes to like how magic operates within me, is that my dragon side is actually like very well versed in a lot of other magics, but it does take some effort. Like almost like you are trying to go outside of your area of expertise. It feels kind of like that to me. However, even in my family, something akin to a savant, at least when it comes to that. It 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 takes effort for me, but it's not the insane amount of efforts that it takes to my siblings or anything like that.
Hmm. And has it been known that this kind of magic is feared, or have you been feared by proxy because of your knowledge of mathemagics?
Well, technically, I was actually like from a Thailand perspective to humans. I was born rather recently. It's just that I've been spending a lot of time traveling. Like I think I was born in what humans call the 90s. but I've been spending a lot of time outside of my own timeline.
Hmm.
So chronologically, I am rather young, but I've been around for a long time, so to speak. So by the time I was here, it was like just I wasn't feared, nor my family, at least that I am from the first generation of like my father was it's fully dragon. My mother was fully human, so she we are like the first generation of like half dragon, half human, and apparently it wasn't like badly received. Like it has happened before, so there wasn't a stigma about my powers or anything that could come from it.
Hmm. I would you say that someone has ever gone after your time core for nefarious reasons or maybe greedy reasons?
Uh, somebody used to. There was this person who was keeping track of my actions, so to speak. They were looking at me from afar. I could never catch them in the act. I think they were also like a time dragon as well, but I'm not sure who it was. But there's like nobody who has come for the time core, especially since once you're chosen by the time core, if somebody tries to steal from you, they it becomes useless. It goes back to being like the stone form, like back to when it was just like a stone with runs, and it doesn't do anything. But you're like a particularly chosen individual who thoroughly wells it.
Hmm. So anyone that tries to steal for their own gain, it's just gonna turn it just a simple rock.
Yeah, I mean, if they want a fancy paperweight, I guess they can have. I mean, you can go and buy something nicer. So I don't know why would somebody go through that much effort get a fancy paperweight.
Hmm. I see, I see. So, I guess we've gone through all of our questions so far, and now would probably be a good time to see if there's been any new questions or questions from the chat that would like to spitball in the meantime. So, I'll go see on the tag and see if there's anything there.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to ask anything, chat. I will answer it to the best of my ability.
Okay. Okay, so we got some questions from Shion in the tag. Why do you like sand and how does it taste?
Ooh. Well, I think I answered this during the thing, but I didn't really go. Sand to me, it's more like a texture thing. I really like the texture. It's like when it is in my mouth, it feels amazing. I don't know how else to explain it. And it tastes kinda earthy. Like imagine like when it rains and you can smell the dirt. Like when it rains and you can finally smell how dirt's it's kinda that soothing flavor, so to speak. It is a great thing.
Hmm. Now, do you eat it with utensils or just your hands?
I usually just like I since I usually go to the desert to eat it, I just like plop down into the earth into the sand, and then I just like scoop it with my hands into my mouth, like just hit me with the good stuff. I have no manners when it comes to eating sand. Nobody's watching, by the way, so it's like I'm not gonna get fancy and get my spoon and fork to eat it properly or something.
Just eat it with the pinky out.
Yeah, that is one thing I do though. At least, well, to prove that I was properly raised, in case somebody actually sees me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, no one probably think too strangely of some dragon eating sand, but having a pinky out definitely makes them a lot more dignified.
Yeah.
How many teeth do you have?
Well, it depends. I I do have two forms. Like this is my human form, so to speak, and I also have a dragon form. That is something I inherited from my father. Like my mom knew about my father's dragon form, but not about but that he I think they eventually learned my father was a dragon and she was okay with it, so that's kinda cool. But as a human I think I have almost the same amount of teeth. Like I do have some extra teeth on the inside of my mouth, like to shred things a little bit more easily. More like a dragon's maw. They
Mm-hmm.
also do have like really pronounced fangs.
Okay, favorite color?
Ooh, that is a very interesting question. But I would say like as much as my vanity lets me allow it, I do really like the color of my scales, like the ones on my tail.
Mm-hmm.
I love that lovely shade of red. It's very cute to me.
Mm-hmm. Now this may be an interesting one. Do you have any crushes?
Ooh, uh, I wouldn't say it's a crush. But during the 3 year period I was away, I met with an entity of sorts. I'm not sure what they truly are, but the stuff happened between us. Like we met by chance, and let's say we're working out something. I think I might be interested in spending more time with them.
Ah, that's very nice.
Yeah,
Now,
she's very cute though, so that's a very big plus for me.
mm-hmm. Now for the ultimate hot question. Are you ready?
I think so, yeah.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Oh, it depends. Depends on the other toppings. If
Mm-hmm.
it's like really salty toppings, let's say you can put like you put it on a meat lover's pizza, that doesn't go well. But if you put it on like a Hawaiian pizza, soft like less salty meats that actually balance the flavors, that's a hard yes.
Oh, okay. So like specific conditions that works out.
Yeah, it's like on a burger, you wouldn't you wouldn't put bacon with pineapple
No.
because bacon it's a really overpowering flavor. It wouldn't go with the pineapple. That's two very specific flavors that give different hints to the burger in this case, and they just don't go well. They fight each other. So yeah, like I agree with people who say like you shouldn't put pineapple on every single pizza, but it's like yeah, nobody's putting pineapple on every single pizza. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, where are you going on?
Yeah, it's not the worst topping either, too. But for
Yeah,
some reason, it's just a sin.
I just think people want to get angry to toppings.
Yep.
Like, I one of the toppings I do consider to be like really bad. It's like cherries.
Cherries.
Yeah, cherries on pizza. I feel like that's going a little bit too far.
Yeah, that's a sin. That's worse than pineapple.
Yeah, because they get juicy and you're trying to eat the pizza and then you see like the cheese has turned pink and it
Uh,
it
uh,
looks off.
uh, uh. Just even thinking about it, just the mental image, just get it out, get it out, get it out.
Yeah, like a friend took me there and I was like, is this a human thing? Like, what are you guys doing? Like, is this why my mom doesn't want me to hang out with other humans? What the what are you doing, guys?
She's
Like,
trying to
no.
protect you. She is certainly trying to protect you.
It was it's a very big no for me. Like, if I see you putting cherries on pizza, I will politely decline to eat of your pizza and I will buy another one. Like, I don't care. Even if you were, no, it's my treat. Yeah, thanks. I'll get my own treat. Don't worry. I'm sorry. I cannot do this.
Yes. At this
I
point, just buy another pie at that point. No point.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be the one thing. That might be the one case where if someone wanted to go back in time and just make sure that no one ever even thinks about putting cherries on pizza, I would allow it. Don't you agree?
Yeah. I would let it. That's the one time I'm gonna turn my side to the other side. Like, oh, somebody's messing with the timeline. Where they? Oh, sorry, I can't time travel. The weather's really bad. My niece, my tail got caught in the windmill again. I'm sorry. It happened again. I can't go. I'm sorry. I have to deal with this. I'm
My hands,
sorry.
my hands are pretty much tied. The time schedule's booked. There's not much I could do.
Yeah, I got stuff to do. I'm sorry. Somebody else has to do it, and if nobody else can do it, well, it is what it is. I guess we'll never have cherries on pizza anymore. That's a tragedy, I guess.
Yeah, that's an affront to God. All right, next question from Mercury, Shoe Mercury.
Oh,
What's
hi, Shu.
what's something you are super not allowed to change in time that you want to change?
Ooh, that is a very hard question. Personally, like something big in my life, I don't think I would change anything. But if I could go back in time, I would tell myself start start playing this one deck. This one deck is going to be amazing. Just buy it and play it. Don't second guess and buy the other garbage deck that you're going to play. Play this other one.
Hmm.
I would have saved me like 2 years worth of headaches. That's the one thing I would do. I'm not allowed though because that's like financial speculation or something. Like, I don't know. It's supposed to change like how the financial world of like stuff changes. That's a rule in my family, and I'm like, that's bullshit.
Hmm.
Uh, it was a set prowess. Like I was going to play in Magic the Gathering. I was going to play originally how is it called? Originally it was like a Phoenix deck. It was called, but it had a lot of like the core cards of the deck I ended up playing. But during those 2 years, I was like just trying to make other thing work. That I was like, yeah, I am truly enjoying this. This is very fun. I love it. Haha. And everybody could see that I was coping hard. So just because I was second guessing if the other deck would be fun. And I would have enjoyed it so much. I would have loved it. It would have been a blast.
Hmm.
That's my one regret.
And Goonies asking, what deck would that be?
Hmm. Uh, Originally, I was playing Born in Mother, uh, and then I changed to Iset Blitz, but I was going to play Iset Phoenix, which is like I didn't buy, and that's the thing I would have changed. It's a very minimal thing, but I think that the more you go into time travel and stuff, you start to live with the big things, but your regrets are like the stupid little decisions that you do. Like you go, like you postpone going to into one place you really like, and then when you want to go, they are so suddenly closed forever, and you go, fuck, I have to go back. I have to go back and go back to that place. Why did I
Mm-hmm.
postpone it? Fuck. And it's like minimal things because, but same time you cannot quite do that. It can cause some issues sometimes. So it's like it's those little things that seem meaningless, but then you go and you think, damn, I wish I could go back. I wish I could go back. Why can't I do this thing? Why can't I change the past? I just had to tell myself to go this week, and I wasn't doing anything. Those kind of, I think that's the one thing with like the more you time travel, it becomes the little things that the ones you want to change.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions from chat?
Any more? Any more? Otherwise, we'll just wrap things up in a few minutes. So, if you got any questions, ask away.
Do you have favorite time period aesthetic? I think I read in chat. Yeah. Hmm. I would say I would say probably like the Mexican Revolution period. Like that had like in spite of all the poverty and everything, it also led to a lot of like culinary revolution in that time period. And people had a lot of comfy outfits. Like that is why I wear a poncho.
Mm-hmm.
Like my mom really figured out real fast that that was time period. She made this for me. This poncho was made by my mom.
Ah.
So it's like that's the one time period that I really I try to not go often there because, war period, so it's like I just don't want to get shot and accidentally like do something that might change the tides of the war or something.
Yeah, it's a very delicate balancing act.
Yeah, I usually go to restaurants. I actually witnessed by accident the birth of the burrito.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like something that I didn't even notice. That I was just like, ah, shit, I'm hungry. And I saw the entire thing happen before my eyes, and I was like, ah, shit, I was here. I was here for that. A literal witness history in the making. That's damn. I will treasure this memory forever in my heart.
Mm-hmm. I guess to add another layer to that question too, do you prefer past or future?
I While the Mexican Revolution period is my favorite one, I would say I sometimes prefer the future a lot more. Mostly because in the future people like they just get things a lot more easier. Like things that nowadays are like seen as something confusing or stuff like that, or like it's the progress that we are seeing. I look in the future and I see such cool ideologies and stuff that I go, yeah, like there is gonna be progress. It's gonna take a while. It's because people keep fighting for that, and I
Mm-hmm.
find that. very amazing. I it it's one of the things that why I love humanity so much. It's why even though I am half dragon, half human, I feel more in touch with my humanity. I feel like that is the one thing I why I really appreciate humanity.
Mm-hmm. I can agree with that too. No matter what form of humanity you take, as long as you're flesh and blood, you're still human. No matter what,
Yeah,
no matter what side you have, no matter what identity you have too, as long as you live, breathe, and embrace the heart within, that is what makes someone human.
yeah, agreed, 100%. We love our humans in chat and
Mm.
our non-humans.
Yep. Hmm. I have one more question in mind, but it's not firing off in the way I wanted to. Let me think. Let me think. Ah, yes, yes. Here we are. So, has there been any point, I guess, going back to the time travel agency, that you've also met with anybody from space or alternate reality?
With who?
Has there any has there been any point where you've like interacted with someone from the space agency or someone that kind of handles like dimensional stuff too? You know, someone that deals with like alternate realities and whatnot.
Well, in a sense, the agency also does that, but we kind of have like because at least from what we can perceive is that at least to us, it's hard to access other reality. Like I think it's times when time itself is fractured or fragile that we can go into other time. Like that's why when I met my other self, that was like wild to me. That was like this is happening, and I'm about to get killed by my other self. Like this is like what is going on? But we can kind of do that. Uh, there was this project though. We were going to look into other universes, like because we have interacted with time agencies from other universes, and for some reason that project fell out.
Hmm.
I'm not sure why though. It just fell off. It's one of those things that with small office chit chat and like because it's work, you go like, oh my god, I just want to go home. My shift is almost over. I just want to go home.
Mm-hmm.
Just passing time. So tell me about it, but I don't care. And then you like once it stops being work, it's like, yeah, what happened to that thing? That was very interesting, actually.
Hmm. So other possibilities have tried to experiment with dimensional travel, but it fell through.
Yeah, like we can go into other dimensions. I have been able to go to other timelines and other dimensions, but it's usually a very difficult thing.
Hmm. Well, I think we've exhausted all of our questions. I think it is about time that we take our leave too. Thank you, Iris, for hopping on to the show and joining us for the interview.
Oh, well, on the contrary, thank you for inviting me. It was a blast being here.
Uh,
Enjoyed my time here.
Not a problem. You can say it's a timeless moment, if you will.
I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Yeah.
I just had to throw that one in there just in case because there was no better time than any.
Oh my god.
mean, I had all the time in the world to just try and come up with something, but it just clicks.
Oh, I can't believe I'm outpawned right now with time. So that's
Mm-hmm.
not fair. I'll give you this victory,
I
and
mean,
maybe it won't be so easy the next time.
yeah. Hopefully, we're not gonna be too much on the clock, though.
Oh my god! Uh,
I am the king of puns. I am the king of puns. No one on this
uh,
dimension can ever stop me.
oh my god! Fair enough. I have to deal. I have to deal. It's you. You just kick my ass on the pods, please.
Mm,
Holy fuck.
yep. Well, you got any thing that's coming up sometime in the future?
Uh,
No pun intended.
right now, not really. I'm still like sorting out my schedule. Like recently, I had a microphone function, which I actually fixed. You'd be surprised by how cheap good microphones can be. I was impressed by the quality of this one. Was
Mm-hmm.
like, I'll get this for the interview, and I hope it works well enough. But I'm loving it so far.
Yeah.
Uh, I will be one thing I would like to announce. I'll be starting soon a playthrough of Pokemon Unbound, which I would really hope that people catch up to. It's a Pokemon ROM hack, and I think it's possibly one of the best ROM hacks or any fan project I've ever played. It honestly is a blast. I played it before, but doing it on stream is something that I want to do because I want people to that if they don't play it to at least witness how good that is. It's an amazing project. I loved it so far. It's the thing that brought me back into Pokemon actually.
Hmm. All right. And do you also have a special farewell message that you have, or like a goodbye message?
I am working on that, but I do wish everybody a time and I hope you have a lovely night.
All right. Thank you everybody for stopping on by. Hope you had a wonderful time for watching In Character Universe. Who knows what the future may hold somewhere down the line. I might start even making some visits myself too to some other dimensions. But we'll see what happens from there on. All right?
I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming to today's stream. It was a blast and it was lovely seeing you all.
All right. Take care, everybody. And we'll start rating somebody soon. So hope you all stick around for that. Or if you're a little bit tired or just want somewhere else to go, then by all means, it's glad to have you around.